Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 6, text number 41. Prapya punya kritam lokam.
Prapya punya kritam lokam.
Ushitva sasvati sama.
Ushitva sasvati sama.
Shuchinam srimatang gehe.
Shuchinam srimatang gehe.
Yoga brashtu vichayate.
Yoga brashtu vichayate.
Prapya. After achieving. Punya kritam. Of those who perform pious activities. Lokan. Planets. Ushitva. After dwelling. Shashvati. Many. Sama. Years. Shuchinam. Of the pious. Srimatam. Of the prosperous. Gehe. In the house. Yoga Brashta. One who has fallen from the path of self-realization. Abhijayate. Takes his birth. Translation of the verse. The unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. Please repeat. The unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment, on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people, or into a family of rich aristocracy. The following purport was written by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The unsuccessful yogis are divided into two classes. One is fallen after very little progress, and one is fallen after long practice of yoga. The yogi who falls after a short period of practice goes to the higher planets, where pious living entities are allowed to enter. After prolonged life there, one is sent back again to this planet to take birth into the family of a righteous Brahmana Vaishnava or of aristocratic merchants. The real purpose of yoga practice is to achieve the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, as explained in the last verse of this chapter. But those who do not persevere to such an extent and who fail because of material allurements are allowed, by the grace of the Lord, to make full utilization of their material propensities. And after that, they are given opportunities to live prosperous lives into righteous or aristocratic families. Those who are born in such families may take advantage of the facilities and try to elevate themselves to full Krishna consciousness. Prapya punya kritam lokan ushitva shasvati sama suchinam srimatangehe yoga brashto vijayate. The successful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on the planets, the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. Om Jnanati Mirandasya Jnanjana Sarataya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manodishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Tadamayam Dadati Svapadamika Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnava Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnava Shirupam Sarvajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vikantam Sajivam Sarvetam Savadutam Parijana Saritam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Navita Shri Vishakam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandhu Jagapate Gopisa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tatta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarujasya Kripa Sindhu Vyayesha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivastava Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Arjuna is making very practical questions. There is abstract philosophy, which is also useful to our lives. But there are certain types of questions who are immediately relevant to our life. And Arjuna is making one of those questions, asking, what if I am not successful? What if I do so many austerities, and in our case we chant Hare Krishna for 30, 40, 50 years, and then I'm not successful? Because what we do, it will give us success only if we do it with love and devotion. We can chant Hare Krishna for the whole our life, but we think to something else while we chant, the benefit will be very little. And so we need love and devotion. And Arjuna is very concerned about his own and our well-being, spiritual well-being, by asking, what about if we try? It's not easy. Arjuna says, it's not easy. And we say, thank you very much to Arjuna, because we know that it's not easy. So now we can listen to Krishna's answer, and by thanking Arjuna that is representing us very nicely. Arjuna is saying it's not easy. And we know that it's not easy. So Arjuna is saying, what if I don't make it in this life? So this chapter, or this line of answers, of verses by Sri Krishna, are very important for all of us. Bhagavad-Gita is a very practical book. Most of it we can apply it to our day-by-day life. And this certainly is one of the main questions we have in our heart, in our mind, since our beginning. I remember as a young devotee, me and my godbrother, same question. What if we don't make it? What happens? And Krishna gives in the Shastra many different answers. Because there is no only one answer to this question. There is no one answer because we are different. We may not make it because because we make some offense. We may not make it because we are lazy. We may not make it because it's just not our time. We may not make it for bad reasons. We may not make it because we want to fake being devotees and during our devotional service destroys other spiritual lives. It may happen that. Prabhupada said, in our movement there are demons. So there are different possibilities, and Krishna is giving us now in this verse a reassuring answer. But before talking about the specific answer Krishna is giving, I want to make one definition. What means to be a materialistic person? What is materialism? Materialism means God exists or not exists. No? But He cannot enter into my life. If I want money, I have to work. So people work and don't get money. And they don't know why. Why some people just do not do anything and they just take birth into rich families and they got money by birth. Like in this verse it's saying, you take birth into a rich family. What did they do? Apparently nothing. And there are some people who say, no, I had to work. I was just unfortunate, I was just unlucky. But the only way to make money for most of the people is to work. This is called Mimansavada. Mimansavada means I work, and even the devas are obliged to give me the result. This philosophy was preached, was explained by Sri Krishna to Nanda Maharaj during the conversations about the opportunity of doing the yagya for Indra or doing the yagya for Govardhan. And Nanda Maharaj was saying, we had to be careful because Indra has to be pleased, because if it doesn't rain, nothing grows. If nothing grows, our cows will die, and we don't have milk. Without milk, we cannot survive. Even most important, without milk, we cannot make sacrifices to the devas. And we are going to talk a little bit about sacrifice to the devas in a couple of minutes. And Krishna apparently didn't agree. Krishna was saying, Indra is just an order carrier. If you do what the Vedas say that we have to do, Indra is obliged, because the Vedas says this. The Veda doesn't say you have to love unconditionally Indra. He's saying do this and you get that. So Krishna was saying, never mind about Indra. Let's take care of Govardhan, and let's thank and let's do sacrifices to the cows, because the cows give us milk, not Indra. So this is Mimansavada or Karma Mimansavada. And this was a kind of atheistic philosophy. It was just playing around. We don't agree with this philosophy, of course. And Krishna was just trying to convince his father because he wanted to chastise Indra. Now I'm not going to tell the story because I don't think there is a stone in Vrindavan who doesn't know the story. So the materialist is someone who thinks that way. He thinks, I work and I will be alright. This is not what the Vedas say. This is not what our acharyas say. This is not what logic say. No? Because actions and reactions to our action depend from someone above us. We cannot think that there is nobody above us, that there are no devas, that there are no supreme lord, that there is no divine personalities intervening in our lives. We cannot think that way. This is very foolish. No? We have to be conscious that above us there is somebody, you know. And so just like even from the material point of view, other planets are influential to our lives. The moon, the sun, the clouds. We are not completely independent. Somebody beyond us is intervening in our lives. So while we were materialistic before meeting Srila Prabhupada and the Vaishnavas and the Bhagavad-Gita and the Vedas, we were all these type of persons. I will enjoy if I do this. If I can succeed in getting a family, in getting a job, in getting a nice car, in getting myself socially rooted in my society, then my life will be perfect. This is how we were thinking. And someone made it and someone didn't make it. So why? Why is that? Why somebody didn't make it? Because if this type of effort mathematically must give the same result, why it doesn't work for everybody? Why I work 8 hours a day and I make just enough to eat, maintaining my family. And there is somebody else who work 8 hours and get millions of dollars. What is the difference? If you talk to famous rich people, you don't see much difference in terms of intelligence or in terms of capacity, general capacity to do things. You see that they are quite average. Most of them are quite average people. You read a newspaper, this person extraordinary. You meet them. We as a preachers have met a lot of important people, a lot of VIPs. I personally did. I never saw an extraordinarily intelligent person that deserved what he got in his life. So something exists beyond our capacity of perceiving or perception. And materialist is someone who rejects this. There is nobody. Maybe there is a God, maybe. But he cannot do anything because he's in the sky. Why he should take care of me, poor little me. He has something else to do. There was one Indian one time who told me, no, Krishna cannot do anything for me because he's too busy with Radharani. And I told him, Krishna is busy with Radharani, okay, but Krishna is quite omnipotent. He can be with Radharani, he can be at the same time with 16,108 queens, he can be in the heart of each living being. There are no limits for him. So to say that Krishna cannot do anything for you, so you don't need to worship him, this is preposterous. This is just not correct. Of course, he has his own representatives. It's not that Krishna does everything in the creation, every little. He put aside his flute, enter here, and turn on the fan, or give the Bhagavad-Gita to the devotee who is giving class because nobody does it. Things like that. I'm just joking. So he has his representative, he has his own expansions, he has the devas, he has his devotees, he has his messiahs, he has his gurus, etc. So when we came in contact with our Krishna conscious philosophy, and in general Indian philosophy, of course for us it's very difficult to talk about Indian philosophy because Indian philosophy doesn't mean anything. It's like saying European philosophy. What does it mean? It doesn't mean anything. It means everything, it doesn't mean anything. So there are many philosophies in India, there are many so-called religions in India. So if we say Indian religions are naturally theistic, yes or not? Because theistic, which God? There are many people who are very devotional to Ganesh or to Lakshmi, but not really for love and devotion. They want something else. So is that a religion? Is that a philosophy? Yes, of course, it's a kind of religion, but it's not really love and devotion. They don't do it to please him. They please him to please themselves. While we, our logic is the opposite. We please Krishna to please ourselves at the end. So we should not talk about Indian philosophies or Indian religions. It's just too generic. It doesn't mean anything. Krishna conscious philosophy, which is the most outstanding, beautiful, deep. I don't have enough adjectives. Also because I don't speak English since 3 years, so it is difficult for me to remember many adjectives. But this philosophy is just unbelievably beautiful and attractive because it explains everything just like perfect. It's not so difficult to understand that you have to love God and to go back to God. It's just like, can you enter into my home? If you all come in front of my door and start banging and say, Krishna, I chanted 16 rounds for 50 years, now you've got to let me in. Or I did yagya, or I did so many 5 sacrifices, austerities, there's so many things for you. Now you must let me in. If you tell me something, I know you are, your name is such and such, you do this and that, now let me in. I don't let you in, because I don't want it. I don't want to deal with this kind of people, you know. I like friendly persons. I like loving persons, because dealing with loving person is nice. And we sit down and we take some prasad, we talk, we smile each other, so beautiful. But who likes arrogant, presumptuous people who pretend to go back to Krishna just because they did a lot of yoga, austerity, so he gave a lot of money in charities, etc., etc. That is not the way to go back to Krishna. We go back to Krishna only in one way. If Krishna wants us in. We had to befriend Krishna. Krishna, I want to come in, please. I am your servant. Dasa, 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 Govind Bhaktu, Kalpala Kamalayo, dasa, dasa, dasa. With this mentality, which is in the Sikshastaka verse, is quite excessive, it's quite extreme in the quantity of humbleness, because a loved person doesn't want the person who loves him, that he loves, just to annihilate himself. Now, if you have a husband, or you have a wife, or we have sons, or we have friends, and we don't want our wife just, oh please, I am the last worse than a straw in the street, or things like that. But that is teaching us the attitude. You know, the attitude begins with, let's move ourselves out from the center of our lives. Not killing ourselves. That is not our philosophy. But we have to move ourselves a little bit on the side and let Krishna be at the center. If Krishna is at the center, then we are in the right position. And how do we do this? We have to really want it. We have to desire, we have to wish for Krishna to be at the center of our lives. And that's how description of such an extreme form of humbleness comes. When you fell in love with one person or a place, like Vrindavan, like everyone who comes to Vrindavan, I came here when I was very, very young. There was nothing. Now there is buildings and buildings. So I fell in love with Vrindavan, you know. And for me it was like, everything was beautiful, you know. The pigs were beautiful. The sewage were beautiful to me. You know, everything was beautiful because I love Vrindavan. And someone was saying, well, you know, the sewage are not beautiful, you know, it's stinking and horrible. You know, it's not beautiful. But when you are in love, you see everything beautiful. You know, even, oh, my husband is the most beautiful man in the world. He's not. My wife is the most beautiful. She's not. But you love her, you love him. So you see him the most beautiful. And this is the attitude. The attitude is that we want Krishna as the most important thing in our lives. Okay. So let's go back to the verse now. Now we have this some definition of a materialistic person. A materialistic person doesn't really see any necessity. Atheistic person is another thing. An atheist say there is no God. There are some atheists say there may be God, but I don't need him. Like some scientists, they say God does not exist because there is not really need for his existence to explain the universe. This is materialistic people and atheistic people are at the same time. But they fail, of course. But this is not the topic of today. Another day that we can go into the cosmology, the Puranic cosmology, and we can show that yes, there is a need for the God to explain anything in this world. So what happens if you are not successful? Depends. If you are not successful because you are weak, but you really want it, and then Krishna can decide to take you back home. No, nothing is impossible to him. It's not that there is somebody else say, Krishna, why you took this devotee back to you? You said I am successful yogi. You said it. She's unsuccessful. You took this dog, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dog, back to Vaikuntha, and he was not successful. So why? You're double standard, you are lying to us. What happens? That there are rules, but then there are the applications of the rules. And the application of any rule is subjective. And who is the subject who can decide if to apply the rule or something different or even something completely opposite? It's the supreme subject. It is Krishna. Krishna is a person. He can decide. You know, I can say, okay, you are not my friend, but yes, you come to my home. I am free to invite anyone I want because it's my home. So is there any Vedic rule that obliges Krishna to do something against his will? But that is not possible because he's a person. Vrindavan, Adipurusha, Adipurusha means the supreme person. And this concept of Krishna as a person is one of the most important philosophical principles in our spiritual life. Because if we really believe and if we were always conscious that Krishna is a person, there are so many things in our day that we won't do. You know, like when we enter into when our deities, our home deities, for instance, and when I entered into my wife's apartment, we have two apartments, separate apartments, I entered and the deities were open. And they were our other Govinda deity, most beautiful deity in the world, together with Radha Sundar, of course, equally beautiful. And while I was acting, I was thinking of this principle. He's a person. He's a person that I'm acting like we were only two persons, my wife and I. But we were not two persons, we were not alone. We should have been more conscious that we were four. There was Radha, there was Krishna, and there was my wife, and there was myself. So how should we act if we accept that Krishna is a person? How should we act if we accept that Krishna Bhagavan is a person in the altar? Because, okay, I close the altar and I can do whatever I want. Oh, that's not going to work. Because Krishna is in our heart. And there is no place we can go to hide from him. It's like a time bomb in our pocket. You can run and run. You bring with you the time bomb. Just a question of time, and they will explode. So I run. No, I want to do something that Krishna doesn't like, so I have to hide. But Krishna is here. He cannot hide. So now that we know that Krishna is our heart, we are lost. We just cannot do anymore what we did before. Now we are obliged to live a life in devotional service. Because if we do some nonsense, Krishna sees us. If we say some nonsense, Krishna hears us. If we do some nonsense and we don't do it, we don't say, Krishna knows because he's inside. No? We have a hard disk in our brain and nobody can enter. There is no WikiLeaks that can enter into our minds. You know? But there is one hacker that can enter into our hard disk, and that is Krishna, because he's inside, he sees everything. And once we know this, as Srila Rupa Goswami used to say, then our material life, we cannot go back anymore to material life. So then what about if the yogi is not so humble, he has some material motivations, not so big, he's not a demon, but he has some material reasons, then this verse applies to him. Because this verse is saying that you are doing devotional activities, you are doing spiritual life, okay? But you have some desire that you cannot, it's just too much for you. You cannot cut it, you cannot destroy it, you cannot forget it. It's just there, it's an obsession in your mind. So if bhakti-yoga or any other yoga doesn't work, and if bhakti-yoga doesn't work, no other yoga will work. Because bhakti-yoga is the easiest yoga on the earth, on the history of earth. Because if you read the Puranas, what kind of austerities some yogi did just to fly over, then you think, what's the point of wasting the whole life just to fly? Or being able to read another mind. And then you are going to live what? 100 years, 200 years more, and then you lose everything. Then the business is not advantage. If I can tell you, I will sell you my apartment, give me $100,000, okay? But you can keep it only 1 year. After, you have to go. Will you buy my apartment? So why are we wasting time working years and years for something we are going to give up? But that's the same thing. It's a very disadvantaged business because we are giving money for something, time, energy, for something that will be taken away. And the analogy of the apartment is even better because at least you can enjoy it for 1 year. But you don't know how much you will be able to enjoy your life. It can be 1 day. It can be a few hours. Now can come another earthquake and we are all dead. So we don't know. So why we are making such an effort to get something we are going to lose any time? We are not assured that we have 1 year, 2 years, 10 years. There is no assurance of any time. So Krishna says, do you have some kind of material desires? Then, since it doesn't, any yoga doesn't work, even bhakti yoga doesn't work, then I will give you another birth in which you are going to enjoy exactly what you wanted to enjoy in this lifetime. You couldn't enjoy it in this lifetime because you wanted to do something else. You want to spiritual realization, but it was not enough. Then okay, you have to waste another lifetime to purify this desire, because sometimes enjoying the object of your desire may work. It doesn't. Sometimes it works. We have many instances of great saints like Biva Mangala Kapoor who enjoyed for some time and they got liberated, or Bharat Maharaj, or we have a long list of great personalities who had some kind of attachment or attraction, and they enjoyed it, and then at the end of it, that's all. I wasted my life for this thing. And then this realization of uselessness of material activities, or material action for some useless reaction, then it just explodes in our mind, explodes in our heart, and says, now I got it. Now I'm going to go back to Krishna consciousness and finish this thing, this stupid game in the material world, and go back to Krishna. Because in the meantime, we have a great opportunity to know what is in the spiritual world. It's a huge opportunity because we chant. That's good. Krishna, Krishna, Radha, Radha, Hare means Radha. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. We always say that. But until we don't know what is Krishna, who is Krishna, how he's made, what he does, what he thinks, how he lives. And the Shastra say we should go back to God. But can you tell me what is in this world of God? Because if you know, you will be attracted to go. And that's why the Acharyas, they didn't spare any effort in describing what is in the spiritual world. Even books that we should wait to read. But they wrote it. They wrote them. They wrote these books. Why? Because when we are going to be minimum, when we have a minimum qualification to read these books, we should read the books. Because we will know what we find if we go back to God. And then our Hare Krishna is more powerful. Hare Krishna, I want to go there. But if you don't know Hare Krishna, well, what does it mean, Hare Krishna? You like it, of course, because it's spiritual. Then you feel that something is different. But when you know, then your chanting, the mantra, is more powerful. That's why we should chant and we should study at the same time. We should chant, we should study at least 1 hour a day, not 2 hours, any amount of time our life allows us. So then we go into a rich family, and we were not going to need to work, and then we can enjoy our life, and then we'll understand that this was all useless. I want to go back to Krishna. So I have much more to say. These classes are very short. There are 10 minutes. Maybe you can do some questions. Remember that Bhagavad-Gita is, we can enjoy Bhagavad-Gita because of questions. We can enjoy the Srimad Bhagavatam because of questions. We can enjoy any scriptures because of questions.
Hare Krishna. Would you kindly discuss the practical ways of, in day-to-day life, how do we really conduct our activities, considering, in addition to since we all would like to have Krishna, Radha Krishna into the center, and considering them as a part of our home, then what would be the practical aspects in which we can understand it and apply it in day-to-day life?
There is no a day plan same for everybody, equal to everybody.
Yes.
Because it depends from you.
Yeah.
It depends from so many variables.
Yeah.
It's endless.
Yeah.
Depends your age, your country, your attachment, if you have a family or not, if you have a job or not, how much money you have or not. So many things.
Yes.
So that's why I always say that in one sense, in one hand, the guru is more important than the Shastra. In one sense, in one hand, guru is more important than Shastra. Because Shastra speaks to everybody. And you cannot, unless you are really pure, then Krishna can answer. But normally, we cannot make questions to the Bhagavad-Gita. But we can put questions to our guru. You know? And the guru is the one who applies the Bhagavad-Gita in your life. I heard so many different instructions from Srila Prabhupada. to one devotee, I remember there was a time that Srila Prabhupada was saying that temple presidents should be all sannyasis, and then he repented and said no sannyasis, and then he said everyone should get married, and then said stop all marriages, and to one devotee said you should be my secretary, you should never be my secretary. He kicked out one devotee from his secretary, basically in front of me. I was there. So if we are very young and neophytes, we don't understand why different instructions. Shouldn't be only one instruction for everybody. No, that's not possible. It's like giving the same medicine to everybody who has some flu. It depends from your body. If you are a man, if you are a woman, if you are big, if you are small, if you are so many variables. So when you are sick, you don't buy a book, a medicine book. You go to a doctor. Okay. So when you want someone to tell you what to do, how to transform your life, that we cannot just give everything up, and all come to live in the brahmachari ashram, like many of us did. But we were young. When I became a devotee, I was 18. So I lived in the brahmachari ashram. And but if you, for instance, have a family, you cannot do that. So you have to maintain your family. So how to transform your family life in a grihastha life? You should go to your guru if you have one and make specific questions. But whatever he says, you should accept. As a matter of principle, he may tell you that something that it doesn't really, convincing to your mind, but you should accept it as a matter of principle. What does it mean as a matter of principle? Let's say that I remember the big controversy during Srila Prabhupada present in our world about the moon, if the man ever went to the moon or not. I'm sure that all of you heard about this controversy, very old, from the 70s. So there was some doubt. And some devotees were very affected spiritually because they could not accept what Prabhupada was saying. Of course, Prabhupada didn't say, he said it, but he said something different also, no? But anyway, they couldn't accept the fact that Srila Prabhupada was saying they never went to the moon. So we lost some devotees who said, no, this is wrong. We cannot accept it. So I remember one day in our temple, we were having this discussion, and my point, which was not only my point, it was a point of a few good brothers, we were making the point is that, do we really care if the man ever went to the moon? Personally, I cannot care less. They can go to the moon, they can go to Mars, they can go to the sun planet, I don't care. What I care is to keep my shraddha in my spiritual master. That is important. It doesn't really matter if they went or not went to the moon. There are primary philosophical principles and secondary philosophical principles. And shraddha or faith, the spiritual master, is right on the top. So you have practical questions about your life. This is very good. Go to your guru, put the question, and accept. If you are not convinced, wait a few days. Don't jump on him. But Gurudeva, this is not. Wait. Yeah. A few days after, you go back. You say, Guru Maharaj, you said that. I accepted it. Your lotus mouth, whatever comes out. Still, I'm not convinced. Can you elaborate more? Maybe you can reconsider because it's not going to work for me. You see, these etiquettes in our spiritual, yesterday in a class in the evening, I was talking to a group of Mexican devotees about this point, about the point of etiquettes. Etiquettes are pills for our health. You take some pills for vitamin, you take some pills for this, you take some pills for that. None of them really makes you Krishna conscious, but all together they make you stronger. So we have so many etiquettes in our spiritual, small things, like make obeisance to senior devotees, put in a dhoti, put in a tilak, and call in the spiritual master Guru Maharaj, certainly not by naked name, or thousands of little things. And somebody may say, what is important, pens or dhotis? It's not difference. Everything makes a little difference. And little, if you take away little, at the end it doesn't, and nothing will remain. So better we keep the littles all present so we can become stronger in our spiritual lives. So last questions, and then we had to stop.
You said it doesn't matter whether one goes to moon or not. But for those who are inquisitive, among the 4 classes of men, those who are inquisitive, for them it does matter.
Yes.
Because they don't have faith.
Yes. Well, I didn't say that in absolute we shouldn't care. My point was that it was secondary. You know, if inquisitive, making questions about the point that makes me lose my faith in my spiritual master, then I should not care. You know, but if I find a way of accepting what Srila Prabhupada is saying, you know, and at the same time go deeper, because maybe Prabhupada meant something else. Maybe it was from a perspective. Maybe it was telling us something that we never knew before, like the what's the name of that? Multi-dimensionality of the universe, or so many different things. Like Shukadeva Goswami was describing a universe that doesn't exist for us, but he was describing it. So what does it mean? It means that he was seeing something different, that the universe is not just what we see. There are different dimensionalities in the universe, that only those who have the senses capable to perceive that particular dimension can see it. So that's what Shukadeva Goswami was describing. He's describing in the Srimad Bhagavatam. I mean, we cannot see it. So before, thing is, we in Kali Yuga were very quick in determining right or wrong, immediately, right or wrong. Too quick. We should suspend a little bit, just cool down a little bit, and take what Srila Prabhupada said that we cannot understand, and try to go deep. And one day you are going to discover things that you never thought that existed. Because this philosophy is just so beautiful, so huge, so vast. And we should not be satisfied with the little thing we are understanding right now. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.